Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on January the 28th, 2020. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, as usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar. So the first thing to keep in mind here, like I had mentioned yesterday, there are concerns about coronavirus and it's spreading. And as a result, we have seen a drop in yen crosses and Swiss franc crosses. So we had talked about how when there is uncertainty in the market, it creates a run towards safe haven assets. And this is why gold tends to go up, equity markets drop, and Japanese yen and Swiss franc go up, which means those crosses drop. So that's what we are seeing in the market right now. So at this point, there is no cure for it. They have not been able to find a cure yet. And the number of deaths have gone up. And in China, there are 2 cities that they have literally just shut down as a result of this. So there are thousands of people who have been impacted by this, and this is why the markets are concerned. This happened back in 2003 with SARS, same thing right now. So just keep that in mind as you're trading. All right, so let's take a look at our news that's coming up. We have business confidence numbers for Australia today. These numbers are important even though they're marked as yellow. If they come in below 0 here, that would be bad for Australia, and we could see Australian dollar drop. We also have the CPI numbers here, which are inflation numbers. And with the inflation numbers, again, this is one of the numbers that the central banks track. So if the CPI numbers are below expectations or they are not in line with expectations, we could see the Japanese yen drop as a result of that, because then everybody would be expecting Bank of Japan to take monetary policy action, and that would be negative for Japanese yen. So coming up on Tuesday here, we have the core durable goods orders numbers from the US. If they're below expectations, that would be negative for the US dollar, and we are likely to see it drop. We also have consumer confidence numbers out of the US. Again, if they are below expectations, we are likely to see US dollar drop. Now, the US dollar has done really well because it's also one of the safe haven assets. So today it has done well, but if the numbers come in negative here, or sorry, below expectations, then the US dollar crosses could turn around. So just keep an eye on that. And then we have CPI numbers for Australia in the Asian session. Again, if the numbers don't come in line with expectation, that will be negative, because then everybody would be expecting Reserve Bank of Australia to cut rates. And anytime the rates are cut, that's negative for the currency. So let's go on to our charts now. Okay, we'll start off with Euro US dollar as usual. We did see a drop in Euro dollar here. Now the candle close here is still bearish, but it's not a very strong candle, so just keep that in mind. And in terms of our forecast here, I would look for, we could see a potential pullback into 1.1040, and then I'm looking for a drop here. The first target is 1.10, which is not that far, and then we have 1.0980. So the momentum is decreasing here for euro dollar, so just keep that in mind, which means that we could see price drop into 1.10, and then it could go back up. So watch out for that. And then, so basically biases to the downside, but just watch out for turn in the market. Pound dollar here, this one is also bearish, but with the pound, just keep in mind we are almost into Brexit. January 31st is the deadline for it, and we could see more volatility in British pound as a result of that. So with this one here, overall bias is still to the downside, but just like euro here, there isn't that much momentum in this one to the downside. So bear that in mind. It could turn, but for now, bias is bearish. Target is 1.2950 here. So bearish bias for pound dollar. And again, this one could go and retest the high into 1.3100 and then a potential drop towards 1.2950. So bias is bearish for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here, huge drop in Aussie dollar here. So one of the reasons for that is because a Chinese economy has an impact on Australia and New Zealand, because both of those are big trade partners with China. So when Chinese economy, or there are concerns around Chinese economy, they also impact Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar, and this is why we have seen a big drop in both of these. And also it has an impact on oil, which we'll take a look at in just a bit here. So overall, bias is still to the downside. If the concerns about the coronavirus stay in the market, we are likely to see more of an impact here. So bias is bearish. Look for a potential pullback potentially into 0.6780, and then looking for a drop. First target here is 0.6720, and then below that we are looking at 0.6700. So bias is bearish for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar here, this one as well is bearish. Like I said, concerns in China have an impact on Australia and New Zealand. So overall bias here is also bearish still. We could get a pullback potentially into 0.6570, and then looking for a further drop here. And the move that I would look for would be something like this. So first target, we are very close to the first target, which is 0.6520. So keep this support resistance level in view, because this is where price had trouble on the way up. This is where it bounced off of to the upside. So we could see a similar reaction when it comes into this level again. And then further here, 0.6450 will be the target. So bias is bearish for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, again, a move to the upside for dollar CAD. US dollar was stronger today, but also with concerns in China, it also has a negative impact on oil, because China is a big consumer of oil. So as a result of these concerns in the market, we have seen oil drop, which has an impact on Canadian dollar. So Canadian dollar drops as a result, and dollar CAD goes up. So bias here is bullish, and I am looking for price to go higher. Look for a potential pullback into 1.3170, and then a move higher. First target is 1.3220, second target 1.3265. So bullish bias for dollar CAD. All right, let's take a look at commodities now. With silver here, we actually have a bearish candle close. It opened up and then this one has dropped. So it's back below this 1850 level into this range that it was trading in. So bias here is bearish, and pullback level would be 18.15, and the target here is 17.65. So bias is bearish for silver. Gold, on the other hand, though, is still holding on. It did open up, but it hasn't really moved up since then. We have an indecision candle here. What I would look for would be a retest of this 1570 area. If it holds above this level, then I would look for it to go up further. So neutral bias for the moment. Look for a pullback into 1570. If it holds above, then looking for further move into 1610. So first into 1590 and then 1610. Oil here. Oil is bearish, like we said. There's a drop in oil with the coronavirus here. we have nice bearish candle close, so bias is still to the downside. Now it is into support, so that's something to keep in mind, which means it could go higher, it could pull back now. So pullback level here would be 53.50, and then looking for a further drop here. So bearish bias for oil. And in terms of the target here, 51.80 is the first target, and then 51 is the second target for oil. Copper, again, big drop here, with Australia being a big exporter to China here, and copper is one of the exports here. We have seen a big drop in the last few days here. It's just been to the downside here. So bias is still bearish. Now with such a steep drop here, keep in mind sometimes things can bounce up as well. So watch out for the bounces and pretty much everything. With this one here, potential pullback into 2.57, and then looking for a drop here. 2.52 is the target to the downside here. Bitcoin has gone up. Bitcoin has started acting sort of like a safe haven asset. It's not completely a safe haven yet, but it is starting to act like one. So we saw a move to the upside. Now it is into resistance. So we had a nice bullish candle close right into this resistance before, but it dropped from there. So this one can come back. It's trading in a range still. So bias is bullish, but with caution, because if it does not go through 89.80, it is going to come back towards 82.50. So for now, bullish bias, but with caution. All right, equity markets here, big drop in equity markets. It opened down, and there was a gap to the downside. Same thing in the yen as well. In the yen crosses and Swiss franc crosses, they opened with the gap to the downside. Now we have a bearish candle close, so bias is bearish here. And we had talked just in general, we had talked about how markets have just moved up for so long that they were due for a correction. So with this one here, looking for a drop, target is 3200, and in terms of the pullback level, look at 3250, and then potentially a little bit higher into 3265. So bias is bearish for S&P 500. Nasdaq as well, it opened to the downside here. It is into support, so this one could bounce back as well. So sometimes what happens is market will react to whatever the news is coming out, in this case coronavirus news, and then it will adjust, which means it will have a big reaction and then goes back in the opposite direction. So watch out for that. So we could see reversals in the market as a result of that. But for now, bias is bearish here, and looking for price to drop, pull back into 9,000, and then looking at 88.80, and below that we have 87.70. So bias is bearish for Nasdaq. Dow Jones here, same thing, saw a drop at the open, so bearish bias here. Potential pullback into 28,600 and 660 level, and then looking for a drop here. In terms of the target, our target is, first target is 28,120, and then 27,875. So bias is bearish here for Dow Jones. DAX here, just like all the other ones, DAX has dropped as well. And bias is to the downside. 13,000 is the target, so bearish bias for DAX. FTSE here, same thing. We saw a big drop on the open. First target here is 73.70, and then looking for a further drop into 73.20. So bias is bearish for FTSE. Last but not least here, looking at Nikkei, a big drop to the downside. It is into support, so again, watch out for those retracements from here. Potential pullback level here would be 23,250, and then looking for a drop. So bias is bearish here, and target is 22,700. So that's it for today. Just keep your eyes and ears open for any comments and news that come around coronavirus. And as soon as they find a cure, that will be positive for the markets, and we are likely to see the equity market especially go up and the safe haven assets go back down. So just keep that in mind, and good luck with your trading. I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.